But our top story this Wednesday evening comes from the Parliament, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the Lok Sabha for the last time in its present tenure. The Lok Sabha was adjourned sine die, and now it's all towards the heat and dust of the campaign. Mr. Modi used this occasion to make a few jibes at the opposition and also reiterate his claim that a majority government is much better than a coalition one. Listen in to Prime Minister Modi. On a day when the CAG report was delivered in Parliament, Mr. Modi was talking about his achievements.
और भी बहुत सी बातों का जरूर आनंद आएगा। हम कभी कभी सुनते थे भूकंप आएगा, लेकिन 5 साल का कार्यकाल का पूरा हो रहा है, कोई भूकंप नहीं आया। कभी हवाई जहाज उड़े हैं और बड़े बड़े लोगों ने हवाई जहाज उड़ाए, लेकिन लोकतंत्र और लोकसभा की मर्यादा इतनी ऊंची है, भूकंप को भी पचा गया और कोई हवाई जहाज उसकी ऊंचाई पर नहीं जा पाया। ये लोकतंत्र के ताकत है, सदन के ताकत। मैं पहली बार यहाँ आया था, बहुत सी चीजें नई जानने को मिली जिसका कुछ अर्थ ही जिंदगी में पता नहीं था। पहली बार मुझे पता चला कि गले मिलना और गले पड़ना में क्या अंतर होता है। ये पहली बार पता चला मुझे। पहली बार मैं देख रहा हूं कि सदन में आंखों से गुस्ताखियां होती हैं। ये आंखों की गुस्ताखियों वाला खेल भी पहली बार इसी सदन में देखने को मिला, और देश के मीडिया ने भी बहुत को उसको मजा लिया। कभी कभी मैं कहता हूं, लोगों को भ्रम होता है कि भी मोदी हैं या सुषमा जी हैं, इसके कार्यकाल में दुनिया में हमारी इज्जत बहुत बढ़ गई है, दुनिया में वाहवाही हो रही है, और वो कहते होंगे लोग, लेकिन रियलिटी जो है वो और है। जिस रियलिटी का मूल कारण है पूर्ण बहुमत वाली सरकार। दुनिया पूर्ण बहुमत वाली सरकार को रिकॉग्नाइज करती है। 30 साल का बीच का हमारा कालखंड वैश्विक परिवेश में इस कमी के कारण देश को बहुत नुकसान हुआ है। 30 साल के बाद 2014 में, क्योंकि जब उस देश का नेता जिसके पास पूर्ण बहुमत होता है, वो जब दुनिया के किसी भी नेता से मिलता है तो उसको मालूम है कि इसके पास मैंडेट क्या है और उसकी अपनी एक ताकत। इस बार मैंने 5 साल अनुभव किया है कि विश्व में देश की एक स्थान बना है, और उसका पूरा यश न मोदी को जाता है न सुषमा जी को जाता है, 125 करोड़ देशवासियों के 2014 के उस निर्णय को जाता है। दुनिया में ह्यूमन राइट्स, ह्यूमन वैल्यूज जाने अनजाने में जैसे किसी दुनिया के इसी एक छोर का ही अधिकार रहा है, बाकी लोगों को तो कोई इससे लेना देना ही नहीं है। और हम तो जैसे मानव अधिकार विरोधी और इसी प्रकार की हमारी छवि बन गई, जबकि मानवता और वसुधैव कुटुंबकम की बात करने वाला यही देश, लेकिन न जाने कौन ऐसी छवि बन गई। लेकिन पिछले 5 साल में हम देखेंगे, नेपाल में भूकंप आया हो, मालदीव में पानी का संकट हुआ हो, फिजी के अंदर साइक्लोन की मुसीबत आई हो, श्रीलंका के अंदर अचानक साइक्लोन की मुसीबत आई हो, बांग्लादेश के अंदर म्यांमार के लोगों के कारण आई हुई आपदा मुसीबत झेलते रहते हो, हमारे लोग जो विदेशों में फंसे थे यमन में, उनको हजारों की तादाद में वापस लाने का काम हो, नेपाल में 80 देशों को हम लोगों को निकाल करके हमने उनको यहां सुरक्षित भेजा। मानवता के काम में भारत ने एक बहुत बड़ी भूमिका अदा की।
That was Prime Minister Narendra Modi delivering his last speech of this Lok Sabha. Now, all this, of course, happening on a day when the Comptroller and Auditor General, the CAG report on the contentious Rafale deal was tabled in the Rajya Sabha. Let's take a look as to what are the main talking points from that report. Remember, the report importantly claims that it is a cheaper deal that the NDA has struck versus the UPA. So that's a major boost for Mr. Modi. whether it's the India-specific enhancements, whether it's service and delivery. Overall, it claims it's a 2.8% cheaper deal than what was being struck by the NDA. Now, in some percentage terms, 1.05%, the weapons package cheaper. Remember, the government had claimed it was 9 to 20% cheaper. But overall, the points, as you will see on your screen at the moment, seem to suggest that overall this was a cheaper deal. Engineering support, 6.54% costlier, according to this report. Logistics, 6.54% costlier. Training of pilots, crew, 2.68% costlier. Flyaway aircraft, importantly, no change in the flyaway aircrafts that will be made available. And this is the critical point. Total price, 2.86% cheaper. That's what the government is latching on. But Rahul Gandhi insists that this report is an eyewash. Listen in to Rahul Gandhi.
I raise to lay on the table of the House, under Clause 1 of Article 151 of the Constitution, a copy in English and Hindi of the report of the Controller and Auditor General of India.
The report by the Comptroller and Auditor General of India on the much talked about Rafale fighter jet deal doesn't reveal the exact price, but says that the Rafale fighter jet deal signed in 2016 was cheaper than the UPA's deal in 2007.
The NDA deal might be 2.8% cheaper, but this does not include the costs for transfer of technology and bank guarantees as was being negotiated way back in 2007. Now questions could be raised whether the beneficiary of this is the manufacturer or the government of India.
The government claimed Vindication and launched a blistering attack on Congress and other opposition parties.
What does the CAG say? The NDA deal is cheaper. That's 2016 is cheaper than the 2007 transaction. The maintenance provisions are better. The delivery schedule is tighter. The transaction has been negotiated at a much faster pace. And they have not found anything fundamentally wrong with the transaction.
Raksha Mantri FM and Modi ji made different statements on price, and they said that the new deal is between 9% and 20% better in financial terms. So the CAG report is saying that they lied in the first place. We don't agree with the 2.5%. But even what they are saying is calling Mr. Narendra Modi's and Raksha Mantri's bluff.
Well, the CAG report has completely vindicated the stand of the NDA government. It has blasted the big lie which was being spearheaded by the Congress party.
As far as I am concerned, a CAG report that does not mention this document, that does not mention the dissent that the negotiating team itself made on price, on timing, I don't think it's worth the paper.
Earlier in the day, the Congress President Rahul Gandhi, along with other opposition MPs, had staged a protest at the Gandhi statue outside Parliament over the issue.
They've dismissed the report even before it was out. Yesterday, they called it the Chaukidar Auditor General report. Then, of course, they've questioned the fact that Rajiv Maharishi has been at the scheme of things in terms of at the helm of things in CAG at the time that this report has been prepared, even though, he held the post of Finance Secretary when Rafale negotiations were on and he was signing off on MOD-related expenditure notes in 2015.
The report has sent political parties into a frenzy. And while Parliament may have adjourned, the Rafale issue seems not to be flying away anywhere anytime soon.
Okay, let's then turn to looking at our Mood of the Nation survey that we did, where we looked at the question of Rafale. How is it playing out? Corruption in Rafale deal. 30% said yes in the Mood of the Nation poll. Remember, we had a sample size of over 12,000. No said 32. So more or less even. 32% saying no, 30% saying yes, and 23% saying not aware. So more than 1 in every 5 were not even aware of the Rafale deal, and about 15% said can't say. The stickability of Rafale, therefore, is a question mark. we also asked the question, do you believe that there have been beneficiaries in the Rafale offset deal? Did Narendra Modi help Anil Ambani's Reliance get benefits? 35% said yes, they believe that Narendra Modi helped Anil Ambani. No was 34%. So equally split. You're seeing a clear split on the Rafale question when we asked it. Can't say was an important number. 31%. 1 in every 3 were saying can't say. Let's then turn to our first newsmaker. I'm joined by Rahul Gandhi's right-hand man, the Congress spokesperson. Let's go straight across to Randeep Surjewala, who's joining me at the moment. Appreciate your joining us, Mr. Surjewala. Many are saying this is now Rahul Gandhi's obsession. Today also a press conference, yesterday one. Every time there's a news break, Rahul Gandhi speaks out in a press conference on Rafale. Do you still maintain that even after today's CAG report, Rafale, according to you, is a major political issue, is a scam?
Well, what some critique call as Mr. Gandhi's obsession is actually Mr. Modi's corruption, where he has been caught red-handed, and consequently everyday expose by the journalist is now showing that Chaukidar is not only chor, but Chaukidar Dhaka dalwane ke andar shamil bhi hai. The CAG report which you refer to is a mere eyewash. The CAG report does not even mention the price of the aircraft. It's a redacted report which is unheard of in the history of the CAG. CAG has actually become Chaukidar Comptroller Journal, Auditor Journal. And if you look at the CAG report, what does it say? 3 things. It says the price of the aircraft is 2.8% cheaper. Prime Minister Modi, Nirmala Sitharaman ji, Arun Jaitley ji say the price of the aircraft is 20% cheaper on 3rd January and on 4th January of 2019. Did they lie to the parliament, or is CAG lying? Number 2, CAG admits but does not take into account the fact that the money meant for bank guarantee, sovereign guarantee, money meant for performance guarantee, money meant for warranty, which was part of the UPA 126 aircraft deal, is not even included in the 2015 deal. And CAG records, and I'm reading to you a specific line. It says this gives a specific advantage to the Dassault aviation. Once CAG has admitted that this gives an advantage to Dassault aviation, is it not an indictment? Here it says so in the CAG report itself. I'm showing to you. CAG also says, it's right here, I've highlighted it in yellow portion for you. CAG also records that the 126 aircraft deal, the India specific enhancements were 1400 million euros. But for 36 aircraft, it is still 1300 million euros. That means there is a 300% increase in the same India specific enhancements in the 2 deals. Why? Why do you pay 25 million euros extra for 36 aircraft? Does it not show rampant corruption? So that's all that Congress President has pointed out. And lastly, but not the least, when are the aircrafts going to be delivered? That's an important facet.
Mr. Surjewala,
according to CAG itself, and I'm not saying so, it is CAG which is recording it.
Mr. Surjewala, you are cherry picking from this vast CAG report what suits you. The big picture is
I'm sorry, I lost you.
No, just a minute. The CAG report
according to CAG itself, the aircrafts is not going to be delivered for 8 years. That means the aircraft's delivery will start in the year 9 and will finish by year 11. In 11 years, the technology will become obsolete. And Mr. Modi said this is an emergency purchase. Is this not a blatant compromise with India's national security? This is what Mr. Gandhi has raised, and this is what very senior journalists have now released.
Mr. Surjewala, you are cherry picking from the report. You will be accused of cherry picking what suits you. The big picture is that the report says that the deal is overall 2.8% cheaper that the NDA has struck between what the UPA intended to do. The public out there will look at the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is that the Supreme Court found no wrong. The CAG appears to suggest that the pricing is lower. I ask you again, is your party, by persisting with Rafale in this election season, going off track?
No, there are three very simple things. The Supreme Court said it had no jurisdiction to examine the detail. And let me remind your viewers, Congress party never went to the Supreme Court, for we believed Supreme Court doesn't have that jurisdiction, which it said it doesn't have. Still, Supreme Court relied upon what? A CAG report that didn't exist. Supreme Court was duped and dumped right in the beginning. In fact, I wonder why should the Supreme Court now look at the documents that have been placed in public domain by very senior journalists and review its own judgment. Number two, CAG has a conflict of interest here. CAG was finance secretary during the relevant time when the new deal was signed and the earlier deal was cancelled, when the Indian negotiation team was negotiating the price. Can you be a judge in your own cause?
Mr.
Was it
Surjewala,
not the duty of CAG, Mr. Rajdeep Maharishi, to recuse himself? Was it correct for him to give a report? I think you cannot sit in a judgment over your own irregularities and bungling of which you are a part of. And thirdly, what does the CAG report says? CAG report says it will not tell the Rafale price.
Mr. Surjewala, the CAG report not telling the Rafale price could well be for reasons of national security. But you know, it's interesting you're criticizing the CAG, questioning his integrity, when your party till a few months ago was insisting that the CAG report be made public. I'm sorry to intervene, but the point is that it is your party that doubts the CAG one day and calls it a Chowkidar Auditor General, but it is your party that wanted the CAG report to be put out in the public. Now it comes out in the public and you question the integrity of the report or of the institution.
I completely agree. But if you remember, before the CAG report came, we realized that Mr. Rajdeep Maharishi, the CAG, was hiding the fact, which was not in public domain then, that he was finance secretary during the time when UPA deal was cancelled, when a unilateral deal for 36 aircrafts was signed, when an Indian negotiation team was constituted. You tell me, moment we came to know about this, we went to CAG and said, you cannot deliver a CAG report, for you are a party to the bungling and fraud, and you cannot be a judge in your own cause. What did Mr. Rajdeep Maharishi do? He did not give any response, and within 72 hours of our submitting him a representation, proceeded to deliver a report. And what is that report? It says it cannot tell the price of the aircraft. If you can't tell the price of the aircraft, what kind of a report it is? And it says there is a 2.8% less price, but I won't tell you what the price is.
Mr. Surjewala, let's be very clear. We are in an election year. And I'm going to ask you this again. Do you really think, does Rahul Gandhi really think that Rafale is the Bofors of our time? Do you think that Rafale is the core issue of an election, not jobs, not economy, not agrarian distress? What are we to understand when Rahul Gandhi bangs on about Rafale? Is this really the Bofors of our times?
The issue of jobs is of paramount importance, and Congress President and the Congress Party has been raising the rampant unemployment and 6.1% unemployment rate, highest in 45 years. Agrarian distress, attack on constitution and institution, the demonetization scam and the disaster, and the downturn of economy are all important issues. But Mr. Modi, please also remember that Mr. Modi came to power saying na khaunga na khane dunga. Now it has been proved कि वो खाते भी हैं और खिलाते भी हैं. And Rafale is an instance of personal corruption of the Prime Minister of India. Why should we as opposition party and the principal opposition party not place it in public domain? For it points out that the credibility of a man who tries to call himself the Chowkidar turned out to be that the Chowkidar is the one who was committing the theft and was helping other committing the theft of the public exchequer and the treasury.
But you know, Mr. Surjewala, no other opposition party is really picking up the Rafale issue with the intensity that you and your leader are. Other parties of the Mahagathbandhan, none of them are really seriously talking about it on a regular basis. It seems that this is a lone Rahul Gandhi versus Narendra Modi battle.
I respectfully disagree. Please read what Ms. Mamta Banerjee said 2 days ago. Please see what Ms. Mayawati said a day earlier. Please see what Akhilesh Yadavji said a day earlier. Please see what DMK and Sharad Pawarji said after a controversy erupted vis-a-vis a statement supposedly made by him, which he never made. I think the entire opposition, in their own way, and even Mr. Kejriwal, has been daunting and saying that the CBI should raid Prime Minister's office. So tell me, which political party has not substantiated and supported what Mr. Gandhi has said?
But it is Mr. Gandhi only who seems to do these press conferences on Rafale, focuses on them. Anything happens in the case, he takes it up. My concern, in a sense, is this Mr. Rahul Gandhi trying to in some way appropriate this issue, investing all his political capital, while the other leaders have other things to do? He seems to really be trying to make this an election issue when our surveys, I showed it, don't really seem to be seeing any traction in Rafale.
Well, all real issues are important to Mr. Gandhi and they are close to his heart. If you saw right in the beginning of this government, Mr. Gandhi took up cudgels when the Right to Fair Compensation Act for farmers was being abolished, and it was his clarion call in the Ramlila ground which made this government backtrack. Mr. Gandhi has been on the forefront of all farmers' agitation, whether in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh or down south. Mr. Gandhi has been in the forefront of the jobs debate and has repeatedly questioned Prime Minister Modi's and his government's malfeasance on hiding the jobs data. And Mr. Gandhi has also been on the forefront of exposing the personal corruption of the Prime Minister and the cronyism that exists in the Rafale deal, helping a private industrialist at the cost of a public sector undertaking and the Indian Air Force. So all these are issues that cannot be seen in isolation. Corruption by the Prime Minister is an important issue. And here, Mr. Prime Minister is directly guilty. And he is hiding away, that's why, from a JPC probe.
No, you keep saying Chaukidar Chor hai. The BJP is equally clear. Rahul Gandhi Dalal hai. Rahul Gandhi is acting as a middleman for competitors of Dassault. Now this tutu meme, how far is it going to take you or indeed the country? You raise Rafale, they raise Augusta, you raise Ambani, they raise Vadra. I mean, really tell me what is the benefit that your party intends to take out of this issue then? Do you really think Congress can take the high ground on corruption?
As far as Mr. Vadra is concerned, they have been hounding, persecuting and defaming him as a profession for last 7 years. I ask you, Rajdeep, as one of the most independent and senior journalists, has any wrongdoing been established vis-a-vis Mr. Vadra? Has any allegation been proved vis-a-vis Augusta Westland? Here, it's not Congress party which has shown the corruption in the Rafale deal. It is senior journalists cutting across the spectrum of newspaper and news channels which has proved. Are all those journalists, do we mean to say, are they all anti-Modi, or is it a quest to show the truth? 7 different newspapers in this country, leading papers in Hindi and English, have carried the Rafale corruption exposes.
No, it's not a corrupt, no, 1 minute. The journalists in question are raising issues about the manner in which the deal was struck. They're raising issues about procedure. At the moment, the issue of corruption, that remains unproven. The fact is, unlike in Bofors, where there was a Martin Ardbo, where there was a deep throat, let's be clear, at the moment, where are the hard facts with you to claim clearly that Chaukidar Chor hai? Now most of you will, people will say that you are simply using Rafale at the moment to create a perception of a scam. What are the hard facts?
First of all, let me say that on Bofors, first the High Court and now the Supreme Court, on an appeal made by Modi government through CBI, which has been dismissed, established that not a whisper of corruption existed in the Bofors deal. You won the Kargil war because of the Bofors guns. So let's set that controversy right. Despite Mr. Jaitley making it a profession for decades together, first the Delhi High Court and now the Supreme Court both has dismissed government's appeal, saying not a whisper of corruption. Number 2, the link of corruption in Rafale is getting exposed. Tell me, why should Dassault Aviation buy a 10 rupee share of a dead company of Anil Ambani with 2 lakh turnover for 1100 rupees a share and invest close to 300 crore rupees in it? What is it if it's not a money, first part of a first tranche of a money trail? And I think the day the entire Rafale file is out, like the bits and parts are coming out, you will find that there was rampant corruption and a fixed deal by a Prime Minister who was personally guilty. And we as opposition are doing so to point out to people that Chaukidar chor hai.
Let me ask you then in conclusion, are you really, you keep using this word Chaukidar chor hai, do you really believe that you have managed to damage Mr. Modi's credibility irreparably, that this is actually an election issue? I ask this because as I showed our survey, it shows that the public opinion on Rafale is divided and almost 1 in every 5 haven't even heard of Rafale. So I just want to understand where you stand then. Is this going to, you're going to continue with this, is it?
चौकीदार चोर भी है और बनावटी भी. चौकीदार चोर भी है और बनावटी भी और मिलावटी भी. And the milaut of corruption, the stench of corruption is now getting apparent by the day. It is not the Congress party which has brought out those papers. It is senior journalists and senior newspapers, publications and television channels which has. So Mr. Modi may suppress the news and the newspapers howsoever he may so wish, but he cannot stop the truth from coming out, and the truth has caught up with him. That truth is the corruption of Rafale and the responsibility that lies at the doorsteps of Prime Minister Modi himself.
Okay, let's leave it there. Randeep Surjewala, thank you very much for joining us and giving us where the Congress party and your leaders stand on a day when the CAG report is out.
Thanks for watching the video. For more such news and updates, please like, share and subscribe to India Today. Also check out our other great videos from our channel. We know you would love to.